Hey, everybody, welcome to Moment of Clarity. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining me. Hey, everybody. Hey, Jonas, Steven, Craig. Please take a second to share this. Let people know so they can join us as well. And if anyone donates, all of those donations will be going to those in need. We talk more about that on the Sunday live stream, which I'll give more info about in a minute. But yeah, let's get going. Well, I got to make sure I'm live on Rockfin as well. Let's see here. Come on, Rockfin, get your shit together. What? We don't have all day, Rockfin. Sorry, I'm quick to anger. Hey, everybody! Happy Earth Day! We did it! We got a day for the Earth. That means everything's fixed because it's Earth Day, and I made a sign. There's a sign. There's a picture of an Earth. So it's all good now because it's Earth Day. It's Day for the Earth. Yeah. So this is another one of these Hallmark greeting holidays. Yeah, that's actually what you should do. Everybody should buy each other big crappy gifts and flowers and shit for Earth Day. Just as long as Earth Day can be a consumerist celebration, then I think it'll take off. I think it'll really get some pull around here if we're all giving each other gifts and cards and boxes and wrapping paper and shit on Earth Day. Then I think because that's really what Earth Day needs. I mean, Earth Day hadn't really taken off because it doesn't have enough people giving people shit. We aren't really. I mean, if you're mailing shit to people, it says Happy Earth Day. Then it's a real holiday. Then it's something I can get behind, something I can support. So yes, look, it's there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, let's celebrate the Earth. But the problem is that it can't be a day or we're dead. Like if it's only a day, if it's a day each year when we acknowledge the Earth, when we acknowledge our existence in this biosphere, in this spaceship Earth, if it's one day a year, then we are fucked. You see how that works? Because we will have spent one out of 365 days giving a shit about the planet. So Earth Day ultimately, and you see all these companies use it to greenwash themselves, to cover them with a blanket that says, we care about the Earth. At McDonald's today, we're going to name each cow patty after the cow that gave its life to celebrate Earth Day. We're gonna put there's gonna be a little bit of little dandelion in each Happy Meal. So as you're eating your fried cow anus, you can remember the Earth, and also we'll paint an Earth on the Happy Meal, so you can remember that today's Earth Day. It has become this kind of liberal greenwashing, horse shit, bullshit, all the shits rolled into one, and yet somehow the right wing, like Fox News, is angry that there's even one moment. They're like, how dare they take a moment to think about the Earth? But the truth is, it's just used to greenwash these things, because it can only be a successful moment, a successful activity, a successful process if on Earth Day or whatever, like I said, it can't just be a day, but if on these moments when you acknowledge the Earth, if in those times you were spending it criticizing the structures and the systems that are devouring it, that are vampires sucking off it, that are destroying the entire biosphere that we live in. If you spent that time talking about those systems, then Earth Day or moment or whatever, the Earth Conference, let's say, all that shit, then it could be useful. It could actually serve a purpose. If you spend that time criticizing capitalism, talking about how it is the idea of endless growth on a planet with finite resources, that it is the idea of putting a dollar sign, a profit sign on everything, including air and water and human life and land, the animals. If you're having that critical discussion of these systems, but you will not see that on your mainstream media. You will not see that from your blue checkmark liberals or the conservatives or the right wing or whatever they call themselves. You will not see that discussion on your Twitter today from those types. You might see it from other people who have woken up to what it is we're facing. You might see some of that discussion, but you will not see it on your mainstream media. They may mention it's Earth Day. They may blurt out that diarrhea out of their face to fill some time. Hey, folks, it's Earth Day, and we're going to leave you in the last 5 minutes of our show with photos of waterfalls and sunsets and a dancing rhinoceros that might be extinct next year, but for now, dancing. And you know, they'll mention it, they'll discuss it for a moment, but it really is it's just a greenwashing. It's just to act like they give a shit. But you have to have that deeper discussion. You have to have that discussion about our systems, our endless consumerism, the fact that we are told through our whole lives to try and fill a void with shopping and products and boxes and things that we purchased on Etsy and you know, we're told that will fill some sort of void, but of course it can't, because that void has been placed there. It has been inserted like the movie Inception by tens of thousands of ads, 1,000 ads per day on average a person takes in. And those all spend their time, spend their minutes, spend their billions of dollars of ad moments on inserting in you that darkness, that void, that sadness that needs to be filled with products and consumerism and buying and producing. And the void can't be filled, because that's the whole point of it. The moment you get the new thing, it is instantly old. It no longer serves that purpose of trying to fill that void. It may last a few minutes. If you're lucky, it'll last a day. But all of that is removed from our real purpose on this world, our real love and passion, our real humanity. All of that is removed. It is sucked out of the equation, because if people found the joy and filled their soul with that kind of enjoyment, with that kind of passion, then you wouldn't need to buy endlessly, to consume endlessly. And, you know, this stuff has ramifications. So by consuming endlessly, we are endlessly throwing things into the landfill, throwing them out at a just an incredible rate, an unimaginable rate. You know, it reminds me of, I'm currently working on an article about this, but I don't know when it would come out. But it reminds me of the product I saw in the store that was the collapsible metal straw that they were selling for you to bring around, so you don't have to use plastic straws. And it's like, okay, well, on one hand, it is better to have a straw that can be reused instead of a straw that you're throwing out every 3 seconds. But in fact, it's a fake solution. It's a bullshit solution, as I'm covering on tomorrow's Redacted Tonight's bullshit solutions, because that metal straw, the collapsible magnetic metal straw, it came in a package. The package is, of course, plastic and cardboard, and that package and the metal straw have been produced and shipped around the world. It was likely, you know, the metals were mined in Africa and sent to China, and then the packaging was assembled in China or Bangladesh or something, and then it was shipped across the world to arrive in a store in your city in America. And so you've got this metal straw that has, you know, sort of logged more air miles than your average human being does in a lifetime. And it's arrived to help you save from using so many plastic straws. And in this plastic packaging of this metal straw, it wasn't just the metal straw, because, see, that wouldn't get you to buy it. It doesn't seem cool enough. It seems kind of simplistic. It's just a little piece of metal. Well, I don't really want to buy that, so we'll throw in some extras. So this one that I saw, I'm not making this up, it was the the magnetic collapsible metal straw that you can buy. And then on as well, it came with a little plastic container so that once you collapse your straw, you can put it in a little container, like a container you might have mints in or something about that big. And it's like, okay, so now you've got your plastic container to hold your metal straw so that you can carry it around all day. But that's still not enough. Still looks too simple. Still isn't going to grab the consumer. So it also has a carabiner, like one of those metal clips in it, like a large one, like that big, that goes with the container with the metal straw. So the metal straw can go in the container. The container can then hook to the carabiner, which can then hook to your bag or your purse or what have you. Who knows? Hook it on your nose ring, carry it around that way. And so now you have your metal straw, your collapsible magnetic metal straw, your plastic container to put the metal straw in when you're not using the metal straw, your carabiner to carry the case, to carry the metal straw so that it can hook to your purse. But you know what? Let's throw in one more thing, because really we want to grab people, want to make people think this is chic, this is awesome, this is cool, this is fun. We'll put in a little metal and plastic brush to clean the metal straw, because you got to get deep in there, right? Clean out that metal straw. So this package had, which was plastic and cardboard, had a metal straw, a plastic container, a metal carabiner, and a metal and plastic brush to clean said metal straw. So at the end of the day, you have 14 items to try and supply you with one item that is supposed to help you not use so many plastic straws. And then then you have to answer the question of how long are you going to hold on to that metal straw before you lose it or leave it somewhere or can't find it or falls behind the dishwasher or the cat chokes on it. Probably not that long. Sure, some people might have it for 10, 20 years, but I imagine most will have it for a couple of months. So then you got to ask yourself, does buying a package with a metal straw and a plastic container and a metal carabiner and a metal and plastic brush inside a plastic packaging, does that really save that much from the plastic straws you might have used? And then at the end of the day, you also come back to the question, why use a fucking straw? Just don't use a straw. So, you know, this is yet again kind of one of these faux, we're going to save the planet with our metal straws bullshit. It's a fake, a way of looking at the planet. But in fact, we're not addressing the real issues, which is how I started this little rant here. We're not addressing the real issues. We've got to talk about capitalism. We got to talk about consumerism. We got to have those debates as to whether it is killing the planet. I mean, it is killing the planet, but at least let's have a debate with those who think it's fine to keep going at this rate. But we can't have those discussions, you know, even on Earth Day, even on the one day that we're supposed to process what it is we're doing to this planet, what it is we're doing to this environment. Even on that day, you won't see the mainstream media have these discussions. They can't discuss the corporations that are obliterating us. They want you to make it a personal choice. And this is one of the key points here. They want it all to be a personal choice. Are you the one who is using the plastic straws instead of the metal straws? Are you the one who's you're not bringing your canvas tote bag to the store? Are you the one doing that? Because you're really fucking shit up for everybody. They want you to believe that's the case. But in fact, and yes, you should bring a tote bag to the store. We use 160,000 plastic bags per second around the world. So yes, bring a tote bag to the store. Absolutely. I do. I know I do. But that is not what's going to save us, not what's going to give us a sustainable future in the long term. What's going to really save this planet, save humanity, is the collapsing and crushing of many of these corporate structures that are the large criminals, that are the large-scale perpetrators of this ecocide. 71% of all greenhouse gas emissions come from 100 large corporations. 71%. So while we're bickering over what you and I are doing, 71% come from 100 companies. And there's also studies showing that the rich in this world are using far more of the resources. I mean, that really do you need a study to figure that out? Using far more of the resources on this planet than the lower or middle classes. So if you really want to change things, if you really want to save things, then it needs to be far more than a personal choice. It needs to be a fucking destruction and raising of these corporations that are doing these damage, these big banks that are doing this damage, and the systems that tell us that every drip of water has a price tag on it, rather than it being pure and holy to us because it sustains life. Rather than farmable land, arable land, and clean air and green plants. Those things should not have a price tag on them. You should not be able to gain profit from those things. They should be able to, we should view them as what makes life holy on this planet. I'm not religious, but if you want to be spiritual, that's where you should put your spirituality in the plants and the environment and the ecology of this world. But of course, none of that can happen under capitalism, and you can't even have the discussion. Another place this discussion can't go on your mainstream media on our Earth Day is the military-industrial complex, the largest polluter in the world, if you're looking at organizations. Obviously, if you're looking at countries, America is the larger polluter because we are the umbrella that has the U.S. military-industrial complex. But the U.S. military-industrial complex, by organization, is the largest polluter, both climate change and otherwise, in the world. What is more horrible pollution than destroying whole societies? What can release more global emissions than blowing up places and forcing all of the industry that needs to rebuild something like that to then get to work doing it? Not to mention other kinds of pollution that the U.S. military is heavily involved in, such as burn pits, where they burn munitions they didn't use, and they burn all types of shit that they don't use or that they're done with because they can't. They put themselves into a country they're not part of the systems there, so they can't just go out to the landfill. They don't have, they can't just take their trash out. What do they do with all? They burn it all. It's horribly toxic and terrible, and people have had incredible illnesses from being near these burn pits or working with these burn pits. Then you have the depleted uranium rounds used in Iraq that are still giving people cancer because basically they irradiated the whole area. You use these rounds during the battle, if you want to call it that, rather than an assault, a full-on assault on the country. And then those rounds, those munitions, the remnants of them, they sit there and they do depleted uranium in them, so they continue to make toxic that whole area. So yes, that conversation needs to be had on Earth Day as well. But again, none of this discussion is had. None of this discussion is what you see on your mainstream media channels. Instead, if they mention Earth Day, they go, it's Earth Day. Remember to take your tote bag to the store and, go outside and look at a sunset. And remember, it's all on you. Just change your light bulbs. Yeah, and then ExxonMobil can do whatever the fuck they want as long as you change your light bulbs. Yeah, those big banks can continue to fund weapons contractors. Raytheon can sell world-obliterating weapons around the world as much as they want, as long as you just get the recycled toilet paper, the one that says full 100% recycled material. Just get that. And then Raytheon and General Dynamics can do whatever the fuck they want. See, you're getting in the way of their shit. Okay, you need to bring your tote bag, or you're really fucking with their shit. So you don't see many people addressing these things and addressing them in a big way. We are at a precipice. We've lost 50% of all wildlife over the past 40 years. And so, there are a few out there, though, that are addressing this in a big way. Obviously, the pipeline fighters, the tree sitters in so many areas. And the Extinction Rebellion has just, I already covered it on, I think I'm covering it on Redacted Tonight that airs tomorrow. I also did a live stream on it, but they have just today, I found out they've done more actions where they're breaking the windows of banks. They just did HSBC, I believe, in the UK, where they, and they're not harming people. It's not like a fucking brick comes flying through the window while there's some old lady trying to count out her pennies on the counter there. And 17, 18, it's not that kind of shit. They're going there on off hours, and like the video I saw, at least they're carefully taking a hammer and breaking the window in a calm and peaceful way, and then they're sitting there and waiting to be arrested with signs and justification as to why they took that action. And it's it's both to gain attention because it's a unique action, but also it's to say, look, we are shattering the earth. HSBC, and the last one they did was Barclays. Barclays are funding these weapons contractors. They're funding these pipelines. They're funding big oil and big gas. And they are at the heart of this machine that is destroying the planet. So we're going to carefully break their glass to demonstrate that we need to interrupt business as usual. And that's what Extinction Rebellion has been doing, at least in the UK. It's unlike so many actions, unlike the climate change marches, which are just most of them are just a parade, like the giant one in New York. I was there. I went to see it. People got floats and they got celebrities and they say, "Hey, planet, yay!" And that's the end of it. And then they say, "Go home." But it has to be far larger than that. And it has to be far larger than individual action, which is why I think we need to keep uniting and working together and talking to people. And I've often said that so many different groups that are protesting some portion of our completely, vampiric, parasitic capitalist system should unite and work together. The anti-war movement is a Earth first movement, right? You end war, you are helping the earth. The anti-factory farming movement is a environmental movement, as well as caring for caring about the harm that's being done to animals. Dealing with racism in America. These things, environmental issues are race. Many of them are race related. People of color are forced to live in often areas that are the most polluted, that are the most toxic, because due to the way our system is set up, they're more likely, our racist system, they're more likely to be poor people. And so therefore they are living in the areas where it's easier to buy land or a house or something. And those areas are often the most polluted, the most toxic. But the reverse is true as well, which is there are black areas of town or areas of town where people of color live, more of them percentage wise. And guess what? Corporations choose to make those areas toxic, not because they're like, let's, add toxins to the black people. It's because they know that those areas have less political sway. They have less political power. This is how the Dakota Access Pipeline ended up going through Standing Rock territory rather than, ended up going through Standing Rock rather than going through Fargo or wherever it was that they had initially slated to go through, because hey, a lot of white people there. You know what white people have? Some of them have money and some of them have political power. So they'll be able to stop us. But go through native territory. Hey, what do you know? Less money to deal with, that they can fight with, and they don't have any political power. So a lot easier to do it that way. Not to mention so many racist cops. A lot easier to get racist cops to stand up against the indigenous folks than to stand up against, their uncles and cousins in Fargo. There's a lot of reasons, but anyway, my point is just that environmental issues are race issues. These go hand in hand. And so this is why we need these groups uniting. If you're a part of one of these groups, you should look into working together with others that maybe are less of your focus. Let's see. Maybe I'll do one other story before we wrap up here. Oh, I actually wanted to mention, most of you know Eleanor Goldfield, and she helped inspire me to do this little rant here with her tweet, which I'll show you here. All right. She said, I find it kind of funny that we have an Earth Day. It's like if I had an Eleanor Day and the rest of the year never acknowledged myself. The home that is these bones, the terrain of my body, the clouds of my mind, the caverns of my soul. Having a distinct Earth Day only proves how disconnected from the Earth we really are. A greenwashed platitude filled with sales and eco hand towels. Until we build a relationship with this body, we'll always see her as other, separate from ourselves, and we will be homeless. That's another excellent point, that we are the Earth, we are the environment. And so by having an Earth Day, or by saying, hey, we need to talk about the Earth, you're acting like you're something separate. We should understand that we are part of this Earth. We are part of the water. We're part of the air. We're part of the land. And once you start to take that in, then all of a sudden, a lot of things don't seem to make sense. If we're part of the land, why would we fucking frack the shit out of it and destroy it? If we're part of the land, why would we do mountaintop removal that completely destroys it and destroys the surrounding area? If we're part of the land, why would we bomb it? You know, if we're part of the air, if the air is us, then polluting it's like literally sitting there and drinking poison. Obviously the same with the water. So it changes the way you think. And it changes the way we operate if we start thinking that way. Okay, I wanted to get to one other story before I wrap up. This is... sorry, but another not great story. Not upbeat. This is Brett Kavanaugh and his garbage human being. Pathetic, sad human being. Brett Kavanaugh's opinion restoring juvenile life without parole is dishonest and barbaric. And this is from Slate, which is not, doesn't do that much good stuff. But basically, it was a 6-3 decision by the Supreme Court that is bringing back juvenile life without parole. Meaning that for something a juvenile has done, they can be locked up for their entire lives without even the option of parole. Doesn't matter how they behave in prison. Doesn't matter what they do. Doesn't matter if they've been rehabilitated and are completely different people, which of course they are. Nobody's the same person as they were 40 years ago. That would be fucking ridiculous. So now that, people can change for the worse, obviously, as Brett Kavanaugh has. Sounds like he was a psychopath in high school too, but I'm just saying he's a piece of shit now. But yeah, it's totally barbaric and disgusting. And the truth is we shouldn't have life without parole for anybody, child or otherwise. With children, it makes us, one of the only countries in the world that has such a thing. And just phenomenally repulsive. And it shows, to me, this story really shows, I'm getting ready to do a larger piece on prison abolition and where the concept of prisons even came from, because guess what? It's not that old. But what this latest decision, which was 6-3, by the way. So even if Kavanaugh hadn't been in there, it would have still been 5-4. But anyway, what this goes to show is just how immoral and repulsive and dead inside these human beings are that are on the Supreme Court. The idea that they can honestly look at a child and say, for whatever reason, yeah, that person should be locked up behind bars their entire life, just goes to show these are irredeemable human beings. There's nothing in them that is not sociopathic in order to make such a decision. And it doesn't matter how intellectual they try to pretend to be. They can put on all the robes and the caps and they can have the diplomas behind them. And it just shows how fucking disgusting these human beings are. And it shows how our system, and this is before Trump crammed in his Supreme Court picks. Obviously, he put some supervillains in there, but this decision likely would have been 5-4 anyway. But even with or without Trump, it goes to show how most of the Supreme Court it's been captured not just by corporate America, but by a completely soulless form of corporate America. Many of their decisions that you're like, what the fuck, are designed to help or benefit the business elite, the elite in this country, the corporate ruling class. But many of them are, it's like corporations. Corporate America doesn't really care whether a juvenile gets life without parole as opposed to 20 years for something they did when they were 16. So this one does not align with corporate. It's not like corporate America wanted this decision. But what it aligns with is the fact that in order to find judges that, and not just Supreme Court, but many of the federal judges, et cetera, in order to find judges that are willing to side with a disgusting, soulless corporate state on every decision, you have to find disgusting, soulless people. And so that's how you end up with a decision like this. And that is how someone like Kavanaugh gets approved. And let's keep in mind, the person that Obama wanted to put in there instead of Kavanaugh was Merrick Garland. And Merrick Garland and Kavanaugh sat on the bench together and voted together 91% of the time, showing that the Obama judge in that case and the Trump judge for the Supreme Court are basically the same creatures. There's a small window. Merrick Garland might have voted differently on this life without parole, but for the most part, they are these soulless corporate monsters put in that place to help the business elite, and they have gotten to where they are. They've gotten to the point that they were selected or even on a short list for that judgeship, for that spot, by showing that all of their decisions will align with the corporate business elite, the titans of industry that rule over our capitalist system. They have shown over many years that they are there for them, that they are meant to further that. That if, for example, the case of Julian Assange were in front of them, they would say, absolutely, imprison him forever, maybe execute him if we have that option. That would be their decision. And they have proven that over decades. That's how they get to that spot. So, this yet again just shows that we are dealing with true psychopaths that can somehow justify it in their mind that what a 15 or 16-year-old does could possibly be something that a 50-year-old needs to continue to be punished for, needs to continue to have their life destroyed for. I mean, it's so fucking laughable. And this, I don't have time to get into our whole prison industrial complex structure and how fucked it is, but I'll be doing that soon. I've been working on it, so that'll be coming out in not long. But this is just one of the many of moments that show the true corruption, the corruption of any sort of empathy, any sort of the internal and moral rot of our judicial system. This is just a shining moment where you can point to it and go, wow, look how fucking morally empty, morally bankrupt these human beings are. 6-3 decision to keep children in prison their entire lives for something they did when they, had half a brain, because I remember being 16 Half a brain is being generous for what most people have. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there, but please take a moment to share this and let everyone know. And if you're watching this not live, you can also donate on Venmo at Lee Camp, and all those donations go to people in need. We get more into the details of that on the Sunday live stream, which is this Sunday. I believe we're doing 8 p.m. And it's me and Eleanor Goldfield, and that's only at youtube.com/moment of clarity. So I hope you subscribe there and join us, 8 p.m. Eastern, sorry. And so also New Redacted Tonight comes out tomorrow, and you're going to want to see that one because I can't tell you, it's a secret. But it's a hell of that's the bullshit solutions I mentioned earlier. So you'll get to learn all the bullshit solutions going on in the world. But yeah, the New Redacted Tonight tomorrow night. New column coming out on Sheer Posts soon. But yeah, a lot going on. I hope you'll keep in touch and keep fighting out there.